everybody, welcome to the Alaska Sea Life Center. My name is Lindsay, I'm part of the education team. I'm joined by Aiden and Hallie, who are part of our avian team. And today we are going to be doing something really exciting and fun. We are going to be doing a bird scale session. So I'm going to turn it over to Aiden, and he can tell us a little bit more about that.
Totally. So we do these scale sessions multiple times a day is what we shoot for. And our goal is to get as many of the birds that you see here up on the scale so we can get their weight recorded. Weight is a really important early indicator of health and body condition and that kind of thing. And so we can tell a lot about how a bird's doing based on that one number we get from that scale. So most of the flock is trained to get on the scale. It's always more of a question of motivation and if they want to. This is all voluntary. But as you can see, they are pretty excited about it right now because they do get a food reward when they get on that scale. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to be at the scale reading numbers aloud to Hallie. She is over here. She is our one of our animal care specialists. She's going to be recording those numbers, reminding me of birds that have already received their vitamins throughout the day, that kind of thing. So I think without further ado, let's start it off. All right, you guys, I know you've been waiting for this. You've been so patient. Flood, 500. So picky.
And what I think is so amazing about, first off, our avian team and these birds is that
935.
They all have names.
Vitafish.
All of these birds here in our aviary have names, and all of Aiden and Hallie, they know their names.
Oh, have you the little
so
thief?
Cool.
Polaris, okay, was 970. Mammoth is a thief.
We got a good line of birds here ready to get on the scale.
So as you can see, there's kind of a social dynamic that plays out here, kind of a pecking order. Got a couple birds on the scale. Trix, 490. And a vitafish. Ina. Oh, misses. That was embarrassing. That was on camera. Okay, let's see here. So we do try to prevent as much thievery as possible. We want to enforce the birds that are getting on the scale and doing the behavior. However, it can be tough to control. These murres have a long reach.
And what exactly are you feeding them today?
So we have a few different diet items. Magma. These smaller fish are silver sides. Those tend to be a favorite among the puffins. We also have capelin, which are a larger fish, popular with some of our larger birds. And I also have two vessels here. I have the main food bucket, and then I have the smaller Tupperware full of vitafish. This is something that Hallie made up earlier today. She packed vitamins into each of these fish to make up for some of the nutrients that are lost in frozen food. Pepperoni is 310 and a vitafish. Nico, 530, 540. And so we try to get a bird, one vitafish. Oh, Shale. Shale got a vitafish.
And these are red-legged kittiwakes on the scale right now. They're very vocal.
Trix got a vitafish.
Got our horned puffin.
So yeah, how we made up these possibility is 320 and a vitafish. Olive, Olive's one of our best scaling birds. I don't think he's ever missed a scale session in his life. Hallie calls him the garbage disposal because he seems capable of eating infinite fish. Lou, 510 and a vitafish. Oh, here's Hudson,
Oh, he's got
435, and a vitafish. Hudson is a pigeon guillemot. So if you're wondering, or maybe you figured it out, our birds all have colored bands around their legs, and that's how we're able to tell them apart. Scuttles, 325 and a vitafish. Let's see here.
And if you guys have any questions, feel free to add them in the comments, and we can get those relayed back to us. Hopefully we can answer a couple of those for you guys.
Chocolate, 915 and a vitafish. Denali, whoa, going crazy. Denali is 560. So as I mentioned, scale sessions are a really great way to assess overall body condition. We can get a really up-close look at these birds that do come to the scale session. We can check their feet, we can check their feathers, all that stuff. It's also one of the ways that we do work and train with our entire flock as a whole. We do a lot of work with individual birds, taking them to programs and things, but this is something that, as you can see, a lot of birds in our aviary can participate in. And so it's a great way to engage a large number of our flock. Oh, you didn't like that one, huh? This is Flood. She's our female smew, and she is very particular about the fish she gets. Rex, I think we got earlier. 430. Little Green, come on up.
Let's see. Can you tell
so
me,
close.
Aiden, do you have a bird that you have a higher connection with, maybe with others?
Yeah, I think there's a few that jump to mind. So this is Copper, 490, and a vitafish. So since she's right here, not Copper. Copper's another great scale session bird, but this one right here, Petrie, is one of our education birds in training. She's a horned puffin that was born right here at the Sea Life Center last year. And this is Little Green, 450. Oh, Shale, you ate that backwards.
Now,
So Petrie is, again, she's about a year old. She was born here. When I was an intern last winter here, she was one of the youngest birds on habitat. And so I got to work with her a little bit when she was very young. And here she is at the scale session a year later.
awesome. Now, Kathy has asked, how many are there? How many birds are in here?
Oh man, it varies year to year based on our breeding season and everything, but I think it's about 70 birds right now.
Our list right here says 67.
67. So
67.
70 give or take a few. These two right here are some of our first year common murres. So these murres were hatched here at the Sea Life Center. They were the new kids on the block for a while, but now they look almost like adults, so it can be a little harder to pick them out.
And murres are a really deep diving bird, right?
They are, yep. Common murres have been known to dive down to 600 feet underwater, so
Wow.
pretty impressive. This is Basalt, 940, and a vitafish. Nice try, Shale. Almost stole it. Not this time.
Shannon was curious, who gets to pick their names?
So the names are kind of decided on by the staff that are there during that breeding year. I think we try to stick to a theme depending on that year. So this year the theme was rocks, geology. So we have shale here, we have basalt. The other birds from this year, we have pyrite, pumice, pebble. So we had this rock theme going. I think the kittiwakes, there's a pea name, like a pea name thing. So this is Portland and Pippin. Piggies over there. It makes them a lot harder to learn because they all start with a P. But
Those are really clever names. I like that.
I haven't named any birds out here, so I can take no credit for any of these names.
Yeah, so guys, if you do keep asking questions, these are great questions. We'll continue doing the scale session as the birds
Petrie,
keep coming up.
600. You're not feeling it, huh? You just want the attention? So all of our birds are at kind of a different stage in learning this behavior. So you'll see like some of our birds have no problem. They'll run right up, they'll get on the scale, they'll take the fish and they'll be on their way. But you can see for some of their birds, like Eon here, this is kind of a bigger ask for them. And so 890, good job, Eon. Good job, Vitafish. And so we want to make sure that we're recognizing where all these birds are at in this training process and making sure we're like setting their goals appropriately. So for Eon, I might reinforce Eon if she got on the scale and just touched it, as opposed to like got fully on it. Right now she's got 1 foot on, and I think she could do a little better than that. I think she could probably get that 2nd foot up there so we can get her an accurate weight. There you go, good job. Just gonna make off with that one.
Now, these puffins, these horned puffins, they look a little bit different than maybe I've seen in pictures.
Totally.
I was wondering what's going on. Are they?
Totally. So the puffins that you've probably seen in pictures or maybe in person typically have that white face mask and they've got really brightly colored bill. And that is indicative of their breeding plumage. So right now, all of our birds, this is Jack, was 430 in a Vitafish. Petrie got a Vitafish. So our puffins are right now in what's called their molts. So they are exchanging out a lot of their feathers. They're growing in that rampatheca, which is that bill protective cover that they grow in every summer. And so in the process, they all kind of look a little awkward. They look maybe a little ratty. It's because they're trading out those feathers. You can see how here on Copper, her face mask is kind of a gray color, and that's because she's somewhere in between her non-breeding plumage and her breeding plumage. So, and we expect that in a few weeks they'll be ready to go in their dressed in their Sunday best for the breeding season. Sequoia, I think we got her earlier.
Kathy had a question about how we're remembering their names. Is there a band on them that helps keep track of that?
Totally, yep. So all of our birds are banded with a specific color code that corresponds to the birth order of that species. Honestly, it was mostly just like sitting down with flashcards for a few months and just trying to memorize. And Sequoia, I just know is red. She's got 2 red bands on her left leg. And for the most part, our birds that are banded on their left legs are females, and the birds that are banded on their right legs are males. So another easy way to sort of remember and keep track of who's who. Oh, Stitch, I haven't seen you in forever. Stitch, good job. 725 and a Vitafish. Hi, Pippin.
Tara asked, do the birds ever get rehabbed and released to the wild?
Totally. So we do occasionally get rehab cases in, and Hallie tends to work with those birds more often. The majority of the birds in this exhibit were either hatched here at the Sea Life Center, were hatched at other facilities, or were wild collected as eggs. And so we do have one bird out here, Harriet. She's a tufted puffin, and she is one of our only rehab cases out here. Fishermen found her on their fishing boat and ended up bringing her here, where she's been a successful breeder and a contributing member to the soap opera that plays out here on Habitat. She, her partner Antonio, is always wants to help during the breeding season, but Harriet is a strong, independent woman and refuses to let him come in the burrow during the summertime. So she is definitely one of the a more hardened member of our aviary. I think if she was a person, she would ride a Harley Davidson, but that's just me.
That's awesome. It does look like it's slowing down a little bit.
It is, yeah. So if there are any questions, feel free. Again, this is a totally voluntary behavior, so birds are welcome to come to the scale session and get reinforced or not. So we do try to do multiple of these scale sessions throughout the day so we can get different birds that come up to each of these.
I think we're good to wrap up.
We're there. Perfect.
But thank you guys so much for joining us here at the Alaska Sea Life Center with Aiden and Hallie. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, like and subscribe on YouTube. We're doing videos every day at 12 and 2. But have a great day, you guys.
What do you think, Pribiloff? You just gonna stare at me?
Bye, guys.
Thanks for checking it out. Salmon got a bite of fish.